broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned into Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. My next guests are a hardcore band from the Green Bay area. They officially formed recently. I'd like to welcome Crucial Moves to Fox Cities Core. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. How are you,
so
Andy?
far?
Kicking it.
Trying to not giggle a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Dan's going to derail this.
Yes, he is, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Everything that goes wrong is usually his fault.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, this is going to be really tough because we've got a big spread of people here today, which it's kind of hard to get with the camera angles here, so you guys will keep me on my feet, which I appreciate.
Yes.
Crucial Moves is a pretty new band. When did you guys officially get off the ground?
So, I've been trying to put this project together for, probably almost a decade. And every time I try to get some iteration of it together, it just fizzles out. And I had found out Jordan had moved back from Arizona. Hayden had posted some banging drums on Facebook, and I was like, yo, you should play hardcore. And we ended up slipping into the DMs, and I got Jordan to meet me out for coffee and told him, I'm like, I won't be very serious. It'll be like once in a great while we get together.
You tricked me.
Much trickery. I hoodwinked him for sure.
Yeah.
And then when we started talking about vocalists, I was in a band with Trayc 15 years
Probably
ago.
15 years ago, dude.
And, everybody kind of agreed that, there's nobody else. Mm-hmm. And then I spent several months, just absolutely harassing Jazz. And Jazz finally came out. So I would say that, our first time we actually got together would be November.
Yep.
And we just kind of, a quick, let's see if this works. And, by the time we were done with just one, get together, we had 2 full songs done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was just front to back, ready to rock and roll. And since then, it's just been, every time we get together, there's something new. And it just kind of seems effortless.
Yeah.
Hit
the ground running.
I would agree with that. That was also the first time we got together is also when the Crucial Moves curse started, where it just snows every single time.
Oh, yeah.
That
Every
might be
single
Jazz's
time.
fault, actually.
We either have to
Ever
practice.
since I joined.
Yeah.
It's been
Full-blown
bummer.
blizzard.
Yeah, so sorry, people of Wisconsin, it is our fault.
Yes, it is, absolutely. Every time it snowed this year, it's because we were practicing. So.
Practicing, or we're going to try to do something.
Well, yeah, your last show that was at the Cold Shot, and you played there with
Sweet Talk.
Sweet Talk.
Sweet
Yes,
Talk.
thank you.
Yeah.
See how my mind works in the morning. It's just but yeah, and we had a ton of snow that morning, didn't we?
Yep.
Yes,
we
we
did.
woke up to a straight up blizzard, and I was like,
We're like,
Probably
of
a
course.
few inches, and then we get a foot and a half.
You're
welcome.
of course.
It sounds like that show went really, really well from everything I saw.
It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun, definitely.
It was a blast. Good old hometown throwdown.
8 million degrees in there, but
Yeah.
I always
Cold
forget
shot.
that the Cold Shot is 400 degrees warmer inside than it is outside, and it doesn't matter how cold it is outside.
Yeah, it was
Jacked up.
Pretty ironic name, really.
Well, and Trace, I know you've got kind of a history with Sweet Talk. You did help them with some videos.
Yeah, I helped with my buddy Ryan Kimball. I did one of their music videos. So yeah, I had a little small relationship with them, with Jamie specifically. So yeah, cool guys, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't want to jump the gun here, but do you have any shows coming up in the immediate future in the area? Because this was your first Fox City show.
Yeah,
And
it
you guys
was.
are all from the Fox
our
Cities, right? So
Second show overall,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah. We've got some stuff coming up. We're playing in Milwaukee on May 6th at Last Rites. We've got some stuff going on in June. Trying to book out Sober AF. Trying to sort
Thank you.
that out. You're welcome. Yeah, so just trying to finalize details with that. Do that. We've got we're playing tour kickoff for Death Wish with Retox AD and Death Wish at Misfits. And then I am currently in the process of exchanging emails with people about booking an East Coast thing, then a California flyout thing, and then hopefully booking out next year for a full West Coaster.
So it sounds like you've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that possibly could be going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Trying to get it going as quick as possible. Just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Hayden, you're in a band called Knotty, and
Yeah.
I mean, do you find it difficult to kind of schedule? Are you kind of fearing with this band that all of a sudden Crucial Moves is going to get a ton of stuff going on, and all of a sudden you won't be able to commit to any Illuminati things?
Not really. It's we've got pretty good communication as far as scheduling on and off. Not really stepping on any toes either way. Everything's booked out far enough in advance that it's not really too much of an issue so far. But we'll see as that goes on. It's definitely different. Illuminati's been around for like 6 years. This is still a fresh project, so that's kind of just rolling on its own type of deal. There's not a whole lot that goes into it. We just had our groove going. So this is just kind of sneaking Crucial Moves into that, which has not at all been a problem. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a blast, man. I'd play every day if I could. So,
Amen. Well, and that's the other thing too to touch on that is, the communication, amongst the 5 of us is really, really good. Which is funny because I've been in smaller bands and the communication was absolutely dog poop. See, I can do it.
You can censor.
more conscious than we thought.
But use my customer service voice. But right away I put together a thing, with like blackout dates for everybody. I've got kids. I've got everybody's got family stuff going on or different things going on outside of the band. So I wanted to be very conscious of not booking things so people can't do stuff and can still live their lives outside of the band.
Right.
So the communication thing has been absolutely clutch for us because, everybody puts their dates into a note and then everybody can see it when stuff comes up. I'd say I look at it, but I don't, and I ask questions anyways. I'm one of those this is going to make me sound so bad. I missed my first wedding anniversary to play a show in California in Long Beach. So I'm of the ilk of something's getting booked.
This man will risk a fight for sure.
I'll sleep on the couch if I gotta.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's been really nice because those two have their thing going on. He's got his thing going on. I work full time. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. So we just really try to make time for everybody else's stuff, while also just absolutely ground and pounding. But that speaks to we don't have to put. How do I say this? It's so easy. You hear people talk about their bands and it's just effortless. And I've been in so many bands
where it's not. It is not.
Where you're just oh man,
At each other's throats.
Yeah, you feel like you're crawling through broken glass just to get something done. And even if these two can't get together, the 3 of us will get together. We'll put things together, and these guys come in, they add their stuff to it, and then we change some parts, we add a little bit. Every time I write something, I'm it's going to be a minute and a half, guys. It'll be great.
4.5 minutes later.
4.5 minutes later. Literally that. I wish that we weren't joking about that. But one song that Motel. So I was this is going to be easy, in and out. It'll be simple. It'll be quick. And next thing you know, it's 4 minutes long. No joke.
But it was worth it. It was worth it.
Oh, man. Oh, we got 3 songs. And play them and we time them. We're how long is this? 12 minutes. Oh, God. That's 15 Minor Threat songs.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the songwriting process since you brought it up. Yeah. Dan, are you writing most of the songs, or is everybody sort of bringing something to the table?
Everybody kind of brings something to the table. I crank out stuff because if I'm at home, I have an instrument in my hands.
How many backlog songs do you have right now?
Dude, let me look. Let me look. Legitimately,
we have.
It's serious.
Let me look.
It's good.
I'm pulling out my voice memos, and these are literally all things that I have written.
Yeah.
Or like mostly written that just need to like come to the table with, and 2 of which are the last 2 on there. We've got pretty much done. We just need Jordan and Trayc to put their touches on it, rearrange a couple things, and get it show ready, get it record ready. But yeah, if I'm at home, I don't really care about watching TV too much. It's never really been a thing of mine. So I have an instrument in my hands most times. And if I'm not playing along to records, I'm writing music. And for the longest time, playing in other bands, I kind of felt more of like a hired gun than anything. And it's not to slight anybody necessarily, but, that age-old, like, oh, the bass player's got a song, and I'm like, no, I got some songs here, guys. Like, you should check this out. But, we'll try to get together at, my apartment, and, like, hash out some things. Jordan will bring some riffs, and we'll start, working through everybody's stuff. So if anybody brings something to the table, we take a look at it. There's no, you're not really a songwriter or any kind of thing like that. Everybody brings something to the table, and we take a look at it, and then we figure out, okay, well, if we do this with this part, hey, I've got a part that'll match that part.
Yeah. I can attest to that too. Like, I've always been a vocalist in every band I've ever been in. Which is, whatever. It is what it is. But I think the coolest part about this band, though, is that, like, I actually feel like I have a say in, like, the actual song making process, which is really, really cool because I've never had that. Like, they'll go out on a limb to make sure that I have the ability to be like, do your lyrics fit in this? You know what I mean? You want this to be the lyrical content that you're making. Let's make the music fit it too. And that's pretty cool. Never had that before. So,
well, when you were in a band with Dan 12 or 15 years ago, you guys weren't writing songs together at that point?
Well, we were, but it was, we were like, we were just making fun of it before. It was like a bunch of literally baby, like, straight edge kids trying to be tough guys. And
did not work.
No, it didn't work.
Cosplay.
Cosplaying tough guys.
It was a different world, for sure.
Was it a similar type of music?
I'd say
adjacent.
in the same channel of rivers, but adjacent.
Yeah, it
was
sort of.
Yeah, juvenile for sure. But yeah, this is a more fine-tuned version of that.
What was the name of that band?
Knockdown Dragout.
Sounds like everyone's favorite monster truck.
God, like,
How long did Knockout Dragout last?
Like what? Half a year?
I would. Yeah, maybe like 5-6 months.
Yeah.
Like,
We did play a couple shows.
Yeah, we did. And like Illinois, we didn't play anything around here.
Yeah.
Oh no, we played in Green Bay.
Played in the basement.
Yep, we played in the crack house.
We played in the crack house, yes.
And then we played in Green Bay with Jordan's old band.
Yeah, that's right. Oh wow! Holy cow!
Dude,
so Knockdown Dragout was a
memories.
hit, I guess. And I forgot about it.
I feel like not to sound mean, because obviously I love Trayc. I must say it with my chest. I think that's like a chunk of like time that I just kind of block out. Things got a little screwy there for a bit.
Fair enough.
You were there and then you kind of disappeared.
Yeah, dude, I came in and I was out.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys were, well, let's first of all introduce, if you could just say your name and what you do in the band, so if people are at home, they can follow along with, when names are thrown out.
Cool, yeah. My name is Jordan. I play guitar in the band.
I am Trayc. I'm the vocalist.
My name's Hayden. I play drums.
I'm Dan. I play bass.
I'm Jazz. I play guitar.
All right, that was easy.
Now we know.
I also play xylophone, triangle,
So you guys,
mean cowbell.
you guys are talking about like a show where a joke was played. You want to kind of let the listeners know
I'm going
about
to take
that?
the stage on this one. How about that? So we're playing at the Cold Shot, and apparently I rile these guys up at practice way too much, to the point that they decided that they needed to make a separate group chat without me in it, to tell all the other dudes to be like, make sure you wear Hawaiian shirts to this Cold Shot show and do not tell Trayc. So I get there. I get there and yeah, they're all wearing, and I'm like, what? And I'm wearing like straight up all black. Everything is black, and I'm like ready. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna kill it.
I think it all we went with it because we were playing our first show in Madison, and we weren't even planning on it, but we just like Dan and I ended up having mustaches at that show.
Oh yeah.
And Trace felt left out then. We're like, oh, this is pretty funny. So leave Trace out of things.
Just so like Trace is in front, all beardy. Hayden's in back, beardy, but straight across the middle, just mustache. And it was
like a division sign.
Yeah, like
it
was like, and then like everybody's in like the fisherman's hats and like just. So it was one of those things, and so like Trace is a funny dude. So like he's always got something smart to say. So like. I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. So I started a separate group chat and I was like, yo, let's all wear Hawaiian shirts. We're not telling Trace. Like,
The best part to me was he wasn't even mad that like he was left out. The first thing he says is, "I have such a good Hawaiian shirt."
I really did.
He's like, I could get the memo, guys.
He's like, I'll go home. I'll go home.
I'll go change right now.
I did have to go home, and I brought it just in case they wanted to let me in. You know? They didn't.
No.
Oh, we did tell you.
No, he said he would take his off if I put mine on.
Yeah.
Oh, the shame.
Yeah, so I'll get him back.
So I was legitimately expecting to roll up here today and like, you know, be in whatever, and then all these guys in something else. Like, you're like matching, you know.
Oh, Trace, you're up front. And you said you've always been the front person for each band that you've been in. The videos that I've seen from Crucial Moves, I mean, you're stalking the stage. Has that always kind of been the style?
Yeah.
He's a real tiger about that.
Well, no, actually, it's funny because thinking back at jogging my brain about Knocked on Drag Out, I remember my first ever show with them, which was my first show ever at that like real show ever outside of high school bands. Where I was just standing still, like timid, and had my hand in my pocket. And I remember one of I don't know if it was you or one of the other band members, like slapped my hand out of the pocket, like, dude, what are you doing? So from then on, I'm like, dude, I don't know, I just gotta move, and just like, I don't know, I have some social anxiety a little bit. So especially getting into music. So I'm like, I got to do something to keep me in it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I'm just going to not stop moving the entire time. And then I'll just look really angry. And then in between sets, I go, thanks. Smile and be me.
The least angry person I've ever met in real life.
And then
hey, if you're driving a white Honda Accord, your lights are on.
Bust that one out. But yeah. I just want to, I don't know, I want to emulate the music that I'm playing, which is always semi-angry music. Mm-hmm. So... yeah, I just gotta keep moving.
He's good at it.
Well, I think too, like
they're crucial moves, man.
Yeah, those are.
there might be some people listening or watching today that aren't familiar with like the hardcore scene and might just look at it for like negative kind of connotations or some kind of stereotype about hardcore that they have in their head. Mm-hmm. Like, can you let the audience know, specifically the people that aren't familiar with hardcore, like what the scene's all about and what a typical show is like? It's not just people beating the crap out of each other and
beating the crap with purpose.
To me, like that's always been the fun part about playing like kind of hardcore music is, yes, it's not like this genre attracts like, you know, huge like festivals with thousands of people or anything like that, but it's very much like a huge family. Every time you go to a show, it's like you see the same familiar faces and you always have so many people supporting you. That was the most fun part about playing our first show in Madison. It was my first show in 15 years. Didn't know how we were going to be received. And like the second we started playing, people were moving around.
Yeah.
And it was like crazy. Yeah. It like I said, it was 15 years, but it felt like nothing had changed for me. It was a wild trip.
Yeah.
I'll take off of that. I think it's really cool to note that you could put two hardcore bands next to each other and they could sound vastly different in music tone or like in style, and you could be like, those are two different types of bands. But I think hardcore in its essence is more like Jordan was saying. It's like very community based. It's very like when you're in it, you know what I mean? And it's just like it's definitely more of like a lifestyle and like a community than it is necessarily a music type. It's just music is what brought everybody there.
Yeah,
and I think that's
absolutely.
the coolest part of hardcore for me. Yeah.
It's very well said.
Yeah, and growing up, listening to punk rock, there's some guys that get into hardcore through metal.
Yep.
There's guys that get into it through punk rock. And there's just some people that, like, out of nowhere they heard one hardcore song and they're like, well, this is it. One of the things that drew me in big time, especially to punk rock, and we can go all the way back to that even, is the anti-racism, the anti-homophobia, the anti-transphobia,
Have a message.
and like the stuff like that, like, which is huge to me,
It's kind of ironic for such angry music. It's all love.
Yeah, it really
It's
is.
just-
Nothing but love.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still, with every genre, subculture, whatever, there's still the outliers that are not good people. And, the way I see it is they're not one of us. Like when I go to a show, I'm getting a little more buck nutty than I should, especially at my age these days. These guys like to give me grief about it. But, my wife and I just flew out to Philadelphia to go to a show, a few weeks ago. And I made friends, like, instantly.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it's not the same with other genres. There's people like, you see like the ravers and they're all like, yeah, we're all buddy, and it's because they're all on ecstasy or whatever. And they're like, I want to pet the furry walls. Like, whereas like there's still people from Philadelphia that I'm talking to now. There's people that I've met all over the country playing hardcore, playing punk rock, whatever, that are friends of mine. Like, punk rock got me into being friends with Jordan, and like a lot of the bands I listen to still to this day are bands that Jordan showed me when we were in 7th grade. We were kids. And now I've got, a almost 13-year-old that's getting into it and finding out that it's more than just music, it's a community.
Yeah.
And that was, one of the things that was important for me with this project was not just being a loud, in-your-face band and like, yeah, that's what we are. Some of our songs are very political forward, and other songs are very much about real life things that like happened to me, my family, the other guys, and we all bring in, like we said earlier, we bring stuff in that actually affects us. And, my kids seeing that, like, oh, it's a community and there's more to it. The first shirt we put together that we still have for sale, I'm going to plug some merch. But the reason I'm plugging it is because we decided as a group that we wanted to be more than just loud. And the first shirt, all of anything above cost that we're doing for these shirts is going to Safe Haven Pet Sanctuary. That show we played in Madison was a benefit show for an organization that helps out LGBTQ plus kids, and that. So it was a no-brainer for us to do those things. And then, like, if I throw something out, some stuff at the Cold Shot, trying to help some people out, and we donated our money to some people that needed help. Well, after we got paid. Yeah. And I had suggested it, and within 2 seconds, everybody was like,
No question.
No question. Like, easy peasy, let's do this.
It's kind of the fun part about being adults now. Like, yeah, we all have like full-time jobs and everything, but that's really what it's all about. Like, I mean, when I played when I was younger, I had part-time jobs. Money was a lot more tight and everything, but it's just not the case now. So, when we talk about like giving to charities and everything and helping out others in need, it's like, we don't need that.
I'd much rather help somebody else out.
Right.
Exactly.
Give it right back.
I'm just here
I'd
for
be
the
playing
good
music
time.
anyway,
I'm not here to like make money
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that.
we're not
I'd be
look,
doing
we're
this
not
stuff for free.
turnstile. I don't foresee any Taco Bell commercial in our future.
rad,
but,
though.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
That is so
Taco
rad.
Bell.
I'd take a Taco Bell sponsor.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's the
So
thing.
Taco
Like
Bell, if you want to pick us up, don't listen to Dan.
Taco John's, we're in. I'm the outlier.
Olay.
Yeah, you guys, for real.
Olays
The
are-
Olays, dude.
Pretty legit.
Olays.
Pretty legit.
So did I hear right, Jordan? You were into metal music, and
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah, that's kind of what I first got into was a lot of metal when I was younger, and then it just kind of transitioned into like, when I was growing up in middle school, that's when like, pop punk was really blowing up and all over TRL when that was still on MTV and everything, and I was one of those closet people who listened to it. I wanted to act like I only listened to metal, but I was listening to Blink-182 and Newfound Glory and everything. And from there, like you just kind of like, well, what were their influences and everything, and you kind of discover like older punk and like a lot of hardcore from that, and that's just kind of how I transitioned into that. That's
Same.
the same way I listen to music today. I listen to like predominantly like a lot more metal than I would say like hardcore or punk, but it's still something that I'm passionate about. A lot of fun to play. It's like kind of a challenge for me to play in a way as well. It's not the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm writing songs or anything, but it like opens up like this kind of creative vessel in me that allows me to write outside of what feels comfortable necessarily.
So
Sure.
I mean, a lot of metal music. You've got fast runs, lots of flashy guitar solos. Are you?
Definitely our noodle master.
So you're bringing some of the noodling to Crucial Moves.
Yeah, and that's been kind of like the fun part is I've written some songs and everything, but I would say Dan is like a really solid songwriter. Like definitely writes like the good like core of the song, and then he'll bring it in and I'll learn the basics of it, and then I can kind of hear in my head like what should go over the top. But no, I'm not trying to do anything flashy anymore. That's not important to me as it was back in the day. I want to like more so write stuff that I think will actually sound good and stuff that I actually want to hear, not the thing that's going to make me look cool in front of other guitar players that might be in an audience.
Right.
You're doing a project with Trayc as well. Is that project similar to Crucial Moves?
No, so the other band that Trayc and I have going on is kind of like a I would say it sounds like mid-2000s metalcore. So it's a lot of fun to have two completely different projects, and that will also help with, again, we're never going to like step on toes with this band worrying about playing any similar type of music. They're completely separate.
Oh yeah.
Every show you play, both bands could play.
Yeah. Oh, but that would be stressful.
Yeah.
Trace will pass out by the end.
Does this project have a name? Yeah.
Rain Chamber. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rain Chamber, like REIGN
R-
chamber?
No,
No.
IARAIN. Like
Rain.
I was like, wait.
Trace ain't winning this spelling.
I'm like,
bee. Sorry, buddy.
I'm like, wait, did he just spell rain? Am I just reiterating the
My
same
vowel,
word?
please.
Jordan, that's a pretty metal shirt there, too. I mean, somewhat. Like the printing is metal.
It's definitely a K-pop band on here.
That's
I do
amazing.
love me some Korean pop, but when you make it in the style of a metal shirt, 100%. I'm gonna buy it.
That's like chef's
Yeah.
kiss right
Cool,
there.
dude.
It's like the writing that looks like a tree or like blood vessels.
Yeah.
You don't know what it
Looks like-
actually says?
If you can't read it, like
Exactly.
if you're a band with a logo that you can't distinguish what it says at all, chances are I'm probably gonna like you and try to figure it out.
Well, you guys are playing with Death Wish soon, and that Death Wish has kind of like not that veined up, but it's kind of veiny, like the
Yeah.
Death Wish logo.
Real veiny.
When you guys are playing shows,
Oh my.
Just not his face.
You gotta tell it to him? You know he's gonna
I
die.
should have went this way.
He should have went this way.
God,
Sorry.
that's what she said. I'm sorry. Just
so when you're playing shows,
Yeah.
you're going to be playing with Death Wish. I mean, the styles of music, they've got qualities that are similar. And do you like mixing up the genres. I always find it interesting.
Yes.
Some bands do not like doing that. I like shows that they mix it up.
I was just talking to a buddy about this. I'm like, dude, mix it up. Like, I mean, if anything's to say, like that Cold Shot show, none of the bands sounded the same.
No.
So like, and I think that's cool because then you can get a variety of people that wouldn't have checked us out that were there and be like, maybe this is cool. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not like, and then maybe it goes back to that, people having this, bad connotation of what hardcore is.
Yeah.
And then now they're like, oh, wow, like they see the passion that we put into it. And maybe they catch like 3 words that I'm actually saying. And they say, oh, that sounds like something that makes sense to me. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Are people kind of blown away when you actually tell them what the lyrics are?
Yeah. Actually, another friend conversation I had, and they're like, why are you just yelling all the time? Why are you so angry? And I'm like, well, actually, like, and I said this at the show, I'm like, well, this song that I just said, I was just yelling is about, it's like kind of like a love song, but it's like, I think you just take that passion, you just turn it to 11, right? You just turn it all the way up, and you just all of the emotions, very emotional driven music type, or like, and that's my perspective. That's why I have to move around and get angry, is because it's just like very, very emotional for me, and not like a sad or mad or angry way. It's just kind of like the spectrum of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said.
Thank you.
So the show that you did again, with, not to keep going back to it, but the Cold Shot, it was Sweet Talk and Floral Friday, and Floral Friday is kind of like a pop rock band, right?
Yeah.
So you had a lot of different genres, and that show again looked awesome. Like the videos I saw. Shout out to Danger. I don't remember his YouTube name.
Yeah.
He's got a really good YouTube channel with live videos.
Yeah. So
I didn't
okay.
Was that the dude who's off to the side?
Yeah. All right. So this,
Yeah.
so I talked to him. I made sure that I'm following.
Yeah.
I will share it with everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, in 9 days, I will share one song. And I'm like, word. All right. He's got like a system for his stuff, and like he was kind of explaining his system, and I was like, no, that's actually super rad. Like, and he's like doing something cool for local music.
The song he put up, I really liked. I don't know the name of it because
What song did he even put up?
Yeah.
All right, let's do some checking here, because I don't even know.
I think Jordan had like a cool
don't need to
guitar
listen
riff
to
in it,
Zulu
and
right now.
it's a good song. But again, it didn't have like a title or anything, so I'm sure it wasn't called Crucial Moves.
It's kind of our style. We just like go into like, that's been kind of the fun part too, is like we don't intentionally do it, but like all the songs kind of like flow with each other while also sounding completely different. So like the first couple of shows that we played, we don't really need to take breaks or anything, because it's not like they.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only have so many jokes that I can throw out during the middle of the set, and some of them,
Mad sure
Don't go
is that a
right,
butt
so.
crack? Nope, that was a mic stand.
They look the same.
do you know this?
Oh, it's Echoes. It's the one you were
cool.
talking about.
So that's the song that I was talking about. It's kind of a love song.
We'll have to look at that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's get into Jazz's mind a little bit here, because he's been kind of quiet. Let's
Waiting for
He's
it.
thinking about
He's like, no, don't.
you let him loose, and he won't. He's a goblin.
So Jazz, you're doing guitars with Jordan. How are your styles similar, and how are they different? How do they work together?
I mean, they mesh pretty well. I actually listen to a lot of metal as well, but I'm not a shredder. I don't play guitar as well as Jordan, but there's no issues.
And were you the last person to join the band?
Yeah.
Okay, so how did they find you? Do you make yourself available?
Directly the opposite.
Well, I was kind of mentally going through some stuff and just really isolating, and Dan was like constantly trying to be like, hey, you want to jam? You want to jam? You want to jam? And I just be like...
That's what Dan does.
And I also have really bad ADHD, so honestly, I just get like really bad squirrel brain, but eventually it was in February, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made it out to practice, and yeah.
I think that's a testament to Jazz, though. Like he said, February he started this band, and
And our first show was in March, and I remember I was talking to some other friends. I was like,
This is
I don't
insane.
know like how he's gonna pick up on everything. And like the next couple of practices, Jazz had everything down. It was crazy.
And it was just in the most Jazz way possible. It's like he's playing it, and then Dan's like, spot on. And he goes, all right.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, cool.
He's like, let's go.
Sometimes I'm a little slow to process things, but once I get it down, I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, then it's like just burned into your
I'm
brain.
like, well, that's
I
stupid.
feel
Why
like.
did I like trip out over that?
For sure.
Yeah, it honestly, it went from like, okay, like, well, does he want to do this? Is he going to be able to do this? We're throwing a lot at someone, you know, and he had 3 weeks to learn an entire set. And like learning,
We were also still learning.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and we're like trying to like change some stuff, and like he'd come to, you know, we're like, oh hey, by the way, we're gonna change this, and he's like, cool, I just learned all of this, and now you guys are changing it. Like, yeah, excellent. But honestly, it was 0 to 100. Like just the switch got turned on, and all of a sudden we're like playing, and I'm like, what? And,
Yeah, for
like,
sure. Like the missing element to everything. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when it was like the four of us originally. Like, yeah, it sounded good. It sounded fine. But it was just missing that something. It didn't sound full. And then when Jazz
100%.
came in and he got the songs down, it was like that's
Yeah.
exactly what was missing right there.
I think there's an element of like, you know, because these guys are such jerks to me about this. You know, like I'm a music theory guy, and like I'm like, all right, so this is the chord structure, these are the chords, this is the scale.
It's like Latin to me. I'm like, no,
And
tell
these
me
guys-
numbers.
And these guys want to give me the business about it, but like it balances out so well
It does.
that like it helps me, especially as, you know, a musician and as a friend and as a teacher, you know, that like these guys don't know some of the goofball music theory stuff. So then I've got to slow down, and then as I'm slowing down, I'm going, oh, that chord doesn't fit right, or this strumming pattern doesn't, you know, this change doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, and then like now I'm like, oh, excellent, like this sounds so much better, you know, because these guys, they're differing styles, and you know, differ from mine too, because I play guitar too. That's, you know, I started on guitar. Well, I started on drums originally as a kid, but
Ugh.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't work.
the roast of Dan Kerner, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus.
He's usually the roast.
Dagger under the table for that one.
But Jazz's style, and like watching him become more and more comfortable,
For sure.
has been really, really awesome. It's again, it's one of those things like about hardcore and punk is like watching younger people get into it, watching your friends get into it, and even in a band, watching everybody come into their own. Jordan's saying he doesn't shred, but he does.
Yeah,
And like
you shred.
and it's, you know, it's Jazz's rhythm parts just fit so well against my like
Yeah.
it pairs well with my bass playing pairs well with his drumming. Jordan's melody parts that he writes, like can I write a song, can I put the structure together? Sure, but I don't have those like noodly melody bits. And Jordan, within, you know, he'll go, all right, he'll learn, like you said, he'll learn the parts, or he'll learn the basic song, and then the next practice come back and we're going through the song and he's just going, and like you know, I call it show stopping. Like we'll literally go, what the hell was that? Like, and he's like, oh, I'm just doing this, and he's just like, it's no big deal.
In the
Like,
corner.
yeah, he's doing his thing, like stepping on his tuner.
It's my specialty.
Ripping his cable out.
Yeah.
But that's been one of the other fun parts is, you know, back to the songwriting process, is watching everybody come into their own, and everybody builds everybody up. There's no tearing anybody down. You know, there's no infighting. You know, I've been in other bands. That's, you know, I'll be real. That's why I left Fastplants. Like, it wasn't fun anymore. You know,
It's gotta be fun.
it just like when the fun stopped hard, and there were warning signs, there were red flags, and you know, I'm not gonna sit and bash those dudes, you know, but it is what it is. And there was a lot of like, I'm taking my ball and going home because you didn't do the thing I said. And it was, when I joined that band, it was put to me that it was, a democracy, a 4 equals share. And anybody in bands knows that, like, democracy works to a certain point. There does have to be 1 or 2 people that are like, hey, that kind of, like, push a little bit, but that was just, it turned into a dictatorship, essentially. And, like, it just wasn't fun anymore. I couldn't deal with, I was driving, almost 3 hours to practice, and someone would, pitch a fit about something so simple and trivial. Oh, I'm leaving. Cool. We just practiced for 25 minutes. This is 6 hours round trip for me. Grow up, please. Mm-hmm. And now with these guys, we were talking about doing a cover song, and Jordan had mentioned, he's like, I don't really listen to that band. I kind of feel a way about it. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, done. He's like, no. If everybody else wants to. I'm like, no, dude, like, you're my friend. And you said you're like, even hinting at being uncomfortable with something. That's dead stop. Done. Like, because I respect you more so than, like, even beyond being a band member, you're my friend. Like, and it's really important to me that being in a band, everybody works together. You're gonna have some infighting. There's going to be issues that come up. It's like a marriage. For those of you that are married, that it is not hunky-dory all the time. There are going to be arguments. But it's how you handle those things that really make or break. And I just, after I got sober, I realized my patience for some stuff was a lot lower. And I have these guys laugh.
To cover it up anymore.
Yeah, I don't have any, like, there's zero like mask about it now, and, like, I have boundaries that I've had to set for myself that, like, that I will not accept anything but, like, if you're being disrespectful, you're not being a good person. See ya.
I also just don't think, like, any of us would put up with something that is, like, isn't fun or anything. I have plenty of fun outside of the band, so I was never going to join if it felt like work, essentially.
Sure, yeah.
And it's just never felt like that at all. Like, when we get together, that's like, to me, that feels like hanging out with friends.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
It doubles over into that, and it's just, like, fun to get together, but also, like, be doing something productive and writing music and doing something that other people can get into.
Yeah, and, there's a lot of legwork that gets done, and, like, I like doing that stuff, so I take it on myself to do it. It keeps me busy. If I'm not busy, I'm in trouble. Like, I know that about myself. I can't sit still. I do stupid stuff. I'm impulsive.
What?
Yeah,
No way.
You don't say
That's
No
look
way.
at my whole face.
Cow.
But so there's legwork that I like doing that, like, sheltering isn't necessarily the right word, but it kind of shelters everybody else from not having fun. Because there's parts of, like, trying to get the merch stuff done, trying to get tour stuff booked, trying to talk to labels about trying to pick up the record we're trying to record. The behind the scenes stuff that I find fun. Not everybody else finds fun. I love doing that stuff. I love networking. I love, talking to people from all over. Like, yo, we want to play in your basement. Like, we don't even need, I'm not trying to play the Ritz. Like, let me play in your basement. Like,
Well, you said you're currently recording or working on recording?
Yeah.
yep.
What do you have done so far?
Nothing.
Just conversations.
Just a little bit of, like, some pre-production stuff that Hayden and I have worked on. We've got a place that we're gonna go to. We've got someone that's gonna produce it for us, and it's just a matter of
Just putting our ducks in a row right now, kind of setting all our templates, figuring out all our official BPMs and stuff like that. But within the next, hopefully, week or two, we should be in laying tracks and getting stuff done.
Finally.
So yeah, super excited for that. Have music to
Stoked.
send out to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should be a fun time.
That's one of the reasons why, like, when Dan and I first met up and we were talking and everything, and we're like, well, what is this gonna like turn into? Yeah, I wanted to play shows and everything, but above all, I just wanted to be like a band that had recordings that people could listen to and had merch as well that people like. It's just like so much fun. Like when we played our shows and then you see strangers buying your shirts. That was like such a mental
It's a cool
trip for me
feeling.
to see again.
Yeah, it's definitely a trip.
We've got a question here from Joel Ziegler.
What's up, Joel?
You kind of just answered it. He asked if you had any recordings coming out soon, but then he asked, he wants your opinion on how healthy the Fox Cities hardcore scene is.
Non-existent.
Yeah, it's,
I don't know for sure.
I think it's growing.
Let me take this one and run
I
with
haven't
it.
lived here in like 10 years up until this past summer, so I can't really
playing
attest to that at all.
So that's kind of there's two sides to that coin. Depending on how you want to look at it, there's divisions within the hardcore scenes everywhere you go. So hardcore is such a blanketed
term.
You know, there's hardcore punk, then there's so many different bands, so many different subsects. You know, there's guys like Tobin, you know, from Retox that like are steadily trying to keep things going still. Their version of their hardcore punk band is slightly different than our hardcore band as, you know, Deathwish. Like you had mentioned before, there's differences in our sounds. But, you know, there was just a hardcore show on Sunday that I was at, you know, that Tobin had set up. And it did die out for a while. Like, and I don't know if it did actually die out or because I had removed myself from the scene. It's hard to say whether it's alive or dead when you remove yourself for so long. I'd spent so much time in Milwaukee, you know, and Chicago.
I think the biggest thing is like we were all old enough to remember a time where it was really thriving around here.
Yeah, it was
and that like it was super. I mean, that's probably why we all got into it is because it was thriving so much. And then I don't know. Yeah, like you said, it really did die off for a while. And I mean, I think a big thing is not enough all ages venues, not enough people trying to keep it alive. I mean, yeah. So like, that's why people had to venture out to like Milwaukee or Chicago and stuff like that to go and and do this because it's booming in Milwaukee right now. Like hardcore in Milwaukee is bigger than it's been since I was, you know, in my early 20s. So like, that's awesome. And I think hardcore in a general sense is bigger than it's ever been too, which is really cool to see. So I think Dan's answer is right. It's hard to gauge it now, but I think the potential's there for it to get big.
It's like right
Definitely
there
on
on
the
the
upswing.
precipice of like popping off again. You know, there's
just alternative music
the,
in general around.
Yeah, the difference in generations. You know, like I remember, you know, Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid Kids, and like, you know, different stuff from when I was younger. You know, Choose Your Poison was actively going hard when we were kids.
Yep.
You know, and in like high school and stuff, and just different bands that like the scene was different. We had so many different punk houses. There was the Patty Mayonnaise, there was the BFG.
Oh my god.
You know, the Poison Estate,
Dude.
you know,
Yeah,
the
it was
Locust
like,
Lounge.
Yeah, there's nothing like that anymore.
Like it's
That's
you know, and it's kind of, it's funny because all of us grew up on paper, you know, like starting families, doing whatever, and like, you know, the Crack House, like, you know, Chong's Happy Palace, like, we were all living together as kids, and like, you know, then guys get older, they move away, they move to the other side of the country, different things, so sometimes, or houses get torn down, you know, because of greedy bastards that just like, it's all about the money, and they tear down houses that were, you know, thriving parts of the community. But when you, like Trey said, when you look at hardcore as a whole and not just our scene isolated, because Wisconsin hardcore, Wisconsin punk rock is going hard. getting bigger and bigger. You know, seeing kids from Generation Y giving it their all. You know, the kids in Elmer Glueskin playing punk rock. You know, those kids rule. I love seeing them. You know, they played the other night. They're one of my favorite Appleton bands to see, and they're just passionate about it. They just want to play rock and roll, you know, and they really, really put on a good show. You can tell the passion's there.
I just think a lot of those kids need just the ability to have that outlet.
Yeah.
And they can't really play at bar shows all the time. So I think that's the biggest thing.
We need more all ages places again.
Yeah.
Or like places that are willing to like take an L, I guess financially for a few hours and let these kids put on matinee shows, because I remember matinee shows as a kid. Some of these places
around here, there's a lot more all ages places around here.
Places were putting on shows, you know, at their place, and you know, like wristbands, whatever, like 2 to whenever, you know, you could play a show as a kid, and like it's not as common. Like look at Green Bay music for, you know, Rock and Roll High School, Concert Cafe, you know. Some of these younger cats don't know that stuff, but like I was just on the cusp of like going to places like that or showing up to shows because my friends were way older. You know, like guys like Opy and, you know, Derek Veruda, and like, you know, like growing up with Deconform, and like
Deconformed you got to play bass for at the Opy Tribute show.
Yeah, which is where I met you, actually.
How was that experience? All of a sudden you're playing bass in Deconform.
That was weird because I had taken some time off from music. There were some personal things going on in my life, and I was a train wreck. And I got really, really bummed on trying to play music. Things weren't going well every time. Like I said, trying to put stuff together, it just never worked out. And I finally was like, I'm done with this. And then the benefit for Opie came up, and Jess Veruda, Derek's sister, wasn't going to be able to play bass. And wasn't going to be able to play in the band, like, period. And Derek hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, I had a half a second where I was like, And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. Like, why? Like, it's friends of mine, people I've known, you know, that looked out for me when I was the little, you know, 14, 15-year-old idiot with the pink mohawk and, like, Israeli combat boots. And just, like, the too punk for everybody kid, you know. So, it was great. And then the only thing that I was really worried about is because I'm a Virgo.
Of all the things you said all day.
That's like a sidebar me and Jazz thing. That's a me and Jazz sidebar thing.
All right.
I am super organized in very specific parts of my life. Music is one of those things, and it was put to me that we were only going to get to have 2 practices before this. So not only are we only going to practice and twice, I've got to try to learn music that I haven't heard in, 17 years. I was a kid, but I was a kid going to all of the Deconform shows, and that was part of it. I was like, yeah, I love this band. I love Opie. He was a good dude. He was always so kind to everybody, and all right, yeah, I'm in. And then we practiced. It was the first one. I was like, oh boy, I don't know the song. Clearly nobody knows these songs anymore. Trying to work off of recordings that were, basement, home recordings. And all right, so we got to build a set. Some of these songs aren't recorded. And Corey's got to show me, the chords, because Derek doesn't know the chords. And, all right. And then the second time we got together, that was all right, this is, dress rehearsal. If it doesn't work after this, it doesn't work. Yeah. Which, a testament to it. Like, we're playing street punk. Like, hey, you can be bad. It's cool. It's totally cool. Like, you don't have to be good.
You can roll with it.
It's even more punk rock if you're terrible. But we got to the show and we played it, and it was really, really good. It was fun. It felt nice to be on a stage again. So that was like what really was a catalyst for me to like be like, all right, I have to do this again.
Hell yeah.
And then I started drinking way heavier and then tanked my own ambition. And that, like, music and other things took such a backseat to my drug addiction and my alcohol addiction. And once I finally, threw those chains off myself, I was like, I've been like gung-ho doing all the things I've wanted to do. I've gone to places I've wanted to be. I've played in bands, and like I've done stuff again, I did a lot of cool things with Fastplants, so I can't, I gotta backpedal a little bit on some stuff I said earlier, but I tell people when it was fun, and when it wasn't, it absolutely was not. But I got to play places like Alex's, and like Derek and them asking me to do the Opie thing really was what slingshotted me back into wanting to play music. And seeing everybody get together for such a good person was great. I saw so many friends that I haven't seen since high school. I met a lot of great people along the way. There's great people I met along the way that are no longer with us, and it seemed to be that like things went from like, all right, everybody's like doing really good, and then all of a sudden like Opie passed, your friend passed, like
Yeah,
Phil, and like it was just like bang, like just hard hits to the old guard, I guess you could say. And it's like kind of put things even more into perspective for me. Like Opie loved music and was always down to play, and I was like, all right, my friends are dying, like, and I still have life. Like, I have to give 100%. And like, so the band name, like, that's kind of how that came up. I literally just one day I was like, I've got to start making some crucial moves, and like I got to get into this. And I was like, damn, that's actually that's kind of a cool band name. I'm like, all right. So, and that's just kind of how that happened. It was very organic, and like,
I think that was my favorite part, is that we didn't have to think of the band name.
I thought that was just the name of the group chat. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is the name of the band as well. Okay.
That was one of the times that like I was like, all right, so this is what we're doing. Like, if you guys don't like it, we can call it something else.
It's so fitting though, because I mean, it really has been since day one. Like, hit the ground running. Like, we are out here making moves.
Yeah.
Man, so
for sure. It fits.
Well, I've got a couple
the name.
quick hits for you because we're
Okay.
like right at the end. We had a comment that tell Trayc that Godzilla is better than King Kong.
Oh, that
Fire him up
I
at
have
the end.
some.
Really?
I have some words for. That's probably my friend Ben.
Then Dan, you play with a pick. You play bass with a pick. Is that because you started on guitar, or just because the style of music is easier with a pick?
I can play both. I just, because of my style, I learned early on that like just play how you play, and I like a pick better, but I can do both. It's just a matter of my tone, my attack, everything. My right hand is like a sledgehammer, and I had to learn how to like hit hard with finesse, and doing that with a pick is easier for me, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I get the results better with a pick.
Aiden,
Yeah.
Illuminati put out a video for Bring the Light recently. Quick.
Yeah, that's actually, it's the title track off our new album that we just dropped. So that's out on streaming platforms everywhere, called Bring the Light. Super cool video. We had a buddy of ours come in who got a bunch of new camera equipment. It was actually recorded in the studio that we're going to be recording our next stuff in, my other band's studio called the Luma Lab. but yeah, it was a really fun process, really fun to shoot. I'm excited to start doing stuff like that with these guys.
Are you going to get a different bass cover head so when Crucial Moves play, you're not promoting the Illuminati?
Actually,
Just a constant plug.
I just ordered a Crucial Moves kick drum head like 2 days ago,
Yeah.
so it should be here in like a week. So I'm
Trace.
stoked on that.
Yeah.
You're in a good position to be
I'm-
videoing this up. I know you're
You don't
thinking
even
about it.
know. I'm already thinking stuff.
Yeah, we've like
Dan has floated like a music video idea and everything, and Trace is like, I'm all over it.
Yep, done.
It's mine. It's mine.
oh, and that's the thing. My brain works like I'm always so much further ahead of myself than I can actually get my body to do things. And it's been really nice. I can float all these, like, because I'm always like, guys, just go with me on this. This is bonkers. I know it's going to sound bad shit crazy. Like, and they're like, no, this is doable. Like,
Yeah.
and Trace was like, no, that's my wheelhouse, dude. Like, let's go.
Like, it gets me giddy.
Well, where can people go to find out more about Crucial Moves? I know the web imprint is pretty small so far. You've got a
Yeah, we're
Facebook page.
still firing that up.
It looks like
Facebook,
Our
Instagram.
Instagram looks like it's the most.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that is
Yep.
the most active,
Yep.
where we'll put up like little videos and everything like that and have the most updates going on.
Yeah, once we have some recordings, we'll put up a band camp and stuff, but I didn't really think it was necessary to
Not
have a
at this
band
point,
camp
I
with
think it's
nothing.
Yeah, it's just Crucial Moves 920 on Instagram.
Yeah,
Yep.
simple, short, sweet, just like our set. Like,
Just like our set. Yeah.